and Gio.
BT and Sal.
Kevin and Tiki.
Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on The Fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
On the fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
Welcome to another episode of WFAN Daily with your host, Pete Hoffman. You can always follow me at WFAN on all social media. And the New York Yankees crushed the the Minnesota Twins again. And that's what sometimes you need as a team that's struggling with the New York Yankees. You need to face a team that I think in the last 160 plus games, the Yankees are 122-44, some absurd number like that against the Twins. The Yankees completely own the Twins, and that's not a shocker. We've seen them in the playoffs the past, over the years, just completely hammer the Twins. And here's another case. And it's all stems from there was 4 solo home runs. So we'll get into all of it, but it all stems from Will Warren. And at this point in time, obviously we're still talking about playoffs because the Yankees are in the playoff hunt. They're still in the playoff race. So this is something that's serious here. Will Warren, is he going to be pitching real innings in the playoffs? Because we talk about Max Fried, who's kind of lost a step or two recently. Carlos Rodon, that I don't know if anybody actually trusts. Luis Gil, the guy that we want to trust and has pitched better his second start of the season. The other pitcher that you're really contemplating is Will Warren. And this is what he can do. This is not the first time that he's dominated teams before. This is the second game in a row that he's gone back-to-back starts with 6+ innings. In his last 4 starts, his ERA is under 2. He's just been I think he's like 23 strikeouts, 7 walks, or whatever it is, in how many innings. He has been a dominant starter for the New York Yankees the past four starts. And he's had multiple occurrences like this too, where he has pitched, 10+ strikeouts in a game. And he was dominating the Twins. It was third time around when he started to give up any runs whatsoever, and there were 2 solo shots. He did give up 2 runs. There were 2 solo shots, and they were all off-speed pitches. And the thing about this, too, you looked at Byron Buxton, who is the most talented player on the Twins. The guy's always hurt. Thank God nobody traded for him at the trade deadline, because as soon as the trade deadline ended, he went on the IL. And listen, he's never healthy. Even today, you can see he came back. He hit a home run, but what did he hit a home run off of? If you saw the previous at-bats, the first 2 at-bats, all I heard was Paul O'Neill, Joe Girardi talk about how he can't catch up to the fastball. He's too slow. He can't catch up to it. Will Warren throws an off-speed pitch, a breaking ball, and he, like we say, he can't catch up to the fastball, but he's slow enough to hit the off-speed pitch, and he sent it to the seats. So it's going to happen. And then the same thing, I think it was Larnach who at the second home run, too, again, off-speed pitch. So the one thing that was working, and I think it was ridiculous, I think the percentages or something like that, like how bad the Minnesota Twins are against the fastball, it was some absurd number. I think they were like, I can't even remember how bad they were, but it was absurd how awful they are against fastballs. And that's basically what Will Warren was pummeling them with all game. And that's a smart game plan. When you're pitching against a bad team like the Minnesota Twins, guys that are coming up that are journeymen, this guy's Fitzgerald is a 30-year-old rookie. There's Royce Lewis, who could never stay healthy, but loves Derek Jeter, by the way. There's so many pieces to this Minnesota Twins team that it does not work, that they're just like kind of figuring out, hey, if this guy's getting a cup of coffee right now, can he finish the next 2 months of the season? Does he have anything at all? He's been a prospect forever. He's been in our farm system forever. Give him a freaking shot. What do we have to lose here? No, absolutely nothing. Just another game. Who cares? They're not making the playoffs. And Will Warren, for the most part, made it look silly. And it was a stressless game, even though it did get close at one point in time. It was 3-2, then 4-2, obviously, because of another solo home run from the Yankees. And then eventually broke open 6-2, and David Bednar came in and basically wrapped up. Well, Luke Weaver before that, who was phenomenal, and then David Bednar finished it off and get the 6-2 win. The offense came in solo home runs for the most part between Bellinger, between Giancarlo Stanton, Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm, who joined the party for the first time in a while. Got 20 home runs on the season for him. And this is the thing that really bothers me more than anybody else because, besides the firing of Cashman and firing of Boone and all this nonsense, all I hear about is, you got to play the young kids. Got to play the young kids. The young kids suck, right? The young kids on this team, they don't get developed. They don't get anything. They can't figure it out. You are playing two young kids, and Anthony Volpe and Jason Dominguez for the most part, even though Dominguez didn't play today. And Ben Rice is another young kid who, by the way, has been playing catcher more than Austin Wells. Interesting enough, Austin Wells was supposed to be this go-to catcher, this can't-miss catcher, and Ben Rice now is sneaking in and stealing more starts at catcher over Austin Wells. And again, when Ben Rice came up, he was a catcher. Now, in the minors, what position was better? I don't freaking know. All I know is he wasn't a first baseman. That's for sure. You could sit there and try to tell me he's played first base before, but he wasn't a first baseman. He seems like a much more talented catcher than he is first baseman, personally speaking. That being said, though, Will Warren is another example of how the Yankees have figured out how to develop pitching a little bit. Like, you got to give him a little bit of credit here. Luis Gil, Will Warren, Severino, even though Severino was hurt for a lot of the time with the Yankees, so you can't maybe you don't want to add him to the mix, but Michael King, like the one thing the Yankees have been able to develop is starting pitching. Clark Schmidt, it's not their fault that eventually they get hurt. I mean, that's just baseball today. You can't make it up. You finally get the one thing that the Yankees have been able to develop well. And don't get me wrong, they do invest a ton of money into pitching. They invest a lot into the pitching. It's Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon. There's a lot of money into that. But if you think about over the years, who, like I just said, you had Luis Severino, Luis Gil. You had, now I'm blanking on his name. I just said from San Diego, Michael King. You have Will Warren, Clark Schmidt. You've actually developed Jordan Montgomery even for a hot second. You've actually developed pitching. It's actually amazing that they've been able to do it. And everyone ignores the starters that they've developed because, there's no offensive players. Well, they did. They developed Aaron Judge, a can't-miss player, one of the best of all time. The other guys aren't developing, but at least highlight the one thing the Yankees do well is develop starting pitching. They actually know how to do that. And Will Warren has had, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to win a Rookie of the Year or anything like that, but Will Warren, for the most part, has pitched a hell of a season. He's had for the New York Yankees, this is what you need coming from your fourth, fifth starter, for sure. He's saved them games. He legitimately has kept them from losing. And let's see, what was his final line today? Let's look at Will Warren's final line today. 6 2/3, 3 hits, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts, the 2 home runs off the solo home runs, 85 pitches. I mean, come on. 85 pitches. 85 pitches. Most guys can't get out of the fourth inning with 85 pitches. He went to the seventh. It's unbelievable. His ERA dropped to a 4.34. And, just again, like this guy, Will Warren now, August 5th, he went 5 innings, 0 runs. July 30th, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Philadelphia, July 25th, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. The Athletic start was bad, 5 runs in 3 2/3. But the previous start before that, Chicago, 5 1/3, 2 runs. Seattle, 5 2/3, 0 runs. Again, that blow up in Toronto, 8 runs in 40s. But like, he's had 2 bad starts in the past 10 games. That's it. 2 bad starts. That's why his numbers or his ERA is high, because of 5 runs in 3 2/3 and 8 runs in 4. And he also had the LA Dodgers start too, which was terrible, with 7 runs in an inning and a third. So you say 3 miserable starts. The guy hasn't missed a start since April 1st. This is your back end of the rotation. He's one of your best starters. He gives you consistent innings. I mean, that's a dream these days to have a pitcher like that. Is Will Warren going to be starting in the playoffs? That's the question. But I will tell you this much. If anybody sits there and says they can't develop anything, you're not looking close enough. They've developed another starting pitcher. This is now another starting pitcher that no one thought of, no one talked about, but has come through again through, the minor leagues and has solidified himself at least as a back end of the rotation guy right now. Is he going to be better in the future? I mean, the kid's young, dude, right? How old is Will Warren? Is he 26? Is he even that old? Let's see. Will Warren does he have a bio? 26 years old. So he turned 26 June 16th. I don't know. When people tell me that they can't develop anybody, I think you're wrong. I think they're not developing their offensive players. I think they're really good at developing their pitchers. Sometimes there's strengths in an organization. Pitching is one of them. You have to at least acknowledge that. I know it's not what you want to hear, but you have to at least acknowledge the fact that the Yankees do a good job of developing starting pitching. Now, the offense. I am very happy that Giancarlo Stanton's still on this team. I hate the fact that people can't stand him. He played right field today, got you through a game, got 2 hits for you. I know he looks awful running through the bases, but he did get first or third on a base hit. How about that? That was pretty impressive. And obviously, he hits a home run that he's able to trot around the bases. Giancarlo Stanton is one of the most important pieces when it comes to the playoffs. Like, does anybody realize every time they say that Stanton needs to be off this team that you're an idiot? I mean, he's one of the biggest and best performers on this team. Yes, he's fragile. Yes, he's not what he once was. But in a big-time situation, he always comes through. He's barely played half a season, and he's got 11 home runs on the season. I mean, I would kill to have him as a DH on any team. Obviously, right now, the issue is that you have to have playing right field because you're worried about Aaron Judge playing the field. I get it. But he was successful today. And they had Jose Caballero go out there after his last at-bat, and Caballero, thankfully, didn't let any balls go under his legs or through his glove. Very nice. 2 minor notes about the Yankees. Obviously, if you watch any of the game at all, they talked about Garrett Cole throwing the ball a little bit. This is a really good step for Garrett Cole just to get back, throwing the ball around. It still doesn't mean anything for this year. Mid-season next year is his expected return date in 2026 for Garrett Cole. But also Aaron Judge was out there tossing the ball around as well too. So those 2 throwing the ball was a good step in the right direction. Obviously, Garrett Cole's way further away from seeing the field, but Aaron Judge, hopefully that's something that can happen sooner than later. Good news for the Mets. Phillies won. I mean, it's weird. I don't know if we can even. Are we cheering that? Are we cheering that the Phillies won? They won 4-1. The division is now a 6-game lead right now for the Philadelphia Phillies. So that's not good, but at least the Mets are still 2 games in front of that final wild card. They need to get right. They need to to find their Minnesota Twins that they can beat up on. And that's the Yankees have a nice 2 more games. They just have to completely beat the piss out of the Minnesota Twins to get them back in that, hey, you know what? We are good and we can win games. And we just destroyed a team that we always do, but we could do this on the regular. Winning is contagious. The Mets need to find that. The Mets need to do that against the Braves. I know they always lose to the Braves, but now would be the good time to kind of role reverse it and say, you know what? This time we're going to piss on you. Also, for myself, I am a huge MMA fan, huge UFC fan. The contract was up, and they were with ESPN for a while, and I thought they did a good job. I think ESPN and UFC did a good enough job. I thought they highlighted fighters as much as they possibly could. It was a good marriage. WWE now has come over, and now they're working with ESPN, and it was all because it seemed like they knew that they were not going to get the UFC back, and now there was a huge agreement between UFC and Paramount. And to me, this is awesome because if you guys are WWE fans at all, you know that the pay-per-view model is long gone. And with this Paramount Plus UFC marriage, the pay-per-view model is gone. For anybody that used to spend $80 to go watch a fight, it's gone. You just need the subscription. Obviously, it's a premium subscription. It's like $12.99 a month. But you tell me, like, is $12.99 a month $80 a month for a fight? Sometimes there's 2 pay-per-views in a month and you'd have to spend $80 on both. Get out of here. No chance. As a fan, you are a winner. And the pay-per-view model, I think, has gone to the wayside. It's been happening over time. Obviously, WWE was smart about it. They were ahead of the game. But I really think the Logan Paul versus Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, that kind of set the, hey, we don't need a pay-per-view to pull this off. We got Netflix. We got a streaming service that has millions of people that can watch this at any point in time, and they will. Why? Because it's here. They spend money anyway on it. It's not that much, and you can find it, and you could still be as successful with it than the pay-per-view model. So now I don't know how this is going to affect fighters, and I hope it doesn't hurt them in any way. I hope it does wonderful things for them. That I don't know. However, for the fans, for the people that have been lockstep with MMA and UFC, this is a win for you because now you don't have to worry about dishing out, $500 a year at least for pay-per-views. It is a much, much more affordable price tag for you and your family and your friends. So congratulations. All right. Mets are back tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this. It could be today. Mets are playing the Braves, so hopefully get a win there. The Yankees hopefully continue to win over the Twins. And let's get some playoff baseball here because I'll tell you this much. I know that the preseason got everyone excited, but they're still a long ways away from the NFL season. And the Mets and Yankees need some life in them because I can't go through a preseason week to week with, getting excited about the preseason. The preseason. I can't get excited about it. I need Mets and Yankees baseball. I need playoffs. I need, division clinching games. I need all that shit. So let's go. Let's get things together. And like I've said a couple podcasts ago too, both teams are in a rut here. Let's get together. Both pick each other up. Come on. Don't you want to see that quote unquote Subway Series eventually? Right? I'm not rooting for the Yankees to lose. I hope people aren't rooting for the Mets to lose here. Let's root for both teams to get in there so we can find a way to get head to head and then really piss on each other. I know I'm in the pissing mood. I don't know why it is. I should be in a good mood. I feel like I'm in a good mood. The Mets didn't lose. That's a good thing. Yankees won. That's another good thing. So, all right. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily with Pete Hoffman. You can always follow me at Hoff WFAN on all social media platforms. I will be back with BT and Sal Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We should be having some good guests coming up in the next couple days, so just keep an eye out for that. Maybe even in the studio. That could be fun. Also, if there's anything else you want to, go check out the Odyssey app. Whether it's Boomer and Gio, whether it's BT and Sal, like I said, whether it's Evan and Tiki, Keith McPherson, Chris McMonagle, everybody is on the Odyssey app. If you missed anything live, you can go back with the rewind function or the podcast. It's all there, Odyssey app. You can get the Rico Bronya podcast, WFAN Daily podcast. Everything is there for you on the Odyssey app. And if you don't like the Odyssey app, which I don't know why you wouldn't like it because it's all there, download it, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And YouTube as well. Thank you again for listening to another episode of WFAN Daily. Again, Pete Hoffman at HoffWFAN. I will talk to you mañana.